This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
We were told the only way to prevent another terrorist attack on U.S. soil was to invade and occupy Afghanistan, conveniently located in an extremely profitable region once out of reach to U.S. business, like the natural gas-rich former Soviet republics of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, and at a crossroads for trade for U.S. business competitors Russia, China, and India. Some 35,000 Muslim radicals from 40 Islamic countries joined Afghanistan's fight between 1982 and 1992. Afghan people don't have a history of being religious zealots. To create the CIA-desired jihad required the recruitment of Arab, Egyptian, and Pakistani extremists, so the fundamentalism that emerged in Afghanistan is a CIA construct. So what groups had their formative years here on the U.S. taxpayers' dime? Oh, just Osama bin Laden and his network, and the people who became the Taliban, eventually seizing power in 1996. The Clinton administration engaged with and cooperated with the Taliban almost immediately afterward to ensure oil giant Unical's proposed pipelines flowed freely. But with a new opportunity to plant bases in one of the most resource-rich regions of the world, an invasion was launched. The stated goal wasn't ever to capture bin Laden, but rather to destroy al-Qaeda and Taliban training camps in the country.
We haven't captured any al-Qaeda, but...
And how many have you actually managed to kill here in southeast Afghanistan?
We haven't killed any.
At the outset, the Pentagon's generals were brimming with arrogance about their easy conquest. But occupying a country where 92% have never even heard of what, quote, foreigners call 9/11 didn't prove so simple. And as contempt and resistance to the occupation spread, the war became a military disaster. Casualties for U.S. service members surged. From 2009 to 2010, U.S. troops requiring limb amputations increased 60%, with a 90% increase in severe wounds to their genitalia. Commander of British forces from 2007 to 2008, said the Afghanistan war is neither feasible nor supportable. The American strategy is doomed to fail. Petraeus, commander of U.S. forces in Afghanistan from 2010 to 2011, said, "You have to recognize that I don't think you win this war. This is the kind of fight we're in for the rest of our lives, and probably our kids' lives." And Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who interviewed hundreds of soldiers touring Afghanistan on 2 separate tours, said, "When you're given a mission that cannot succeed, what is the purpose of the mission? How many more men must die behind an array of optimistic statements by U.S. senior leaders in Afghanistan?" In 2012, Staff Sergeant Matthew Sitton, on his 3rd tour to Afghanistan, wrote to his congressman, "I'm only writing this email because I feel myself and my soldiers are being put into unnecessary positions where harm and danger are imminent. There is no end state or purpose for the patrols given to us from our higher chain of command, only that we will be out for a certain period of time. As a brigade, we are averaging at a minimum an amputee a day from our soldiers because we're walking around aimlessly through grape rows and compounds that are littered with explosives. I'm concerned about the well-being of my soldiers, and have tried to voice my opinion through the proper channels of my own chain of command, only to be turned away and told that I need to stop complaining. Thank you again for allowing soldiers to voice their opinion. If anything, please pray for us. God bless. Very respectfully, SSG Matthew Sitton." He was killed just weeks later, leaving behind a wife and newborn child. To date, 2,355 soldiers have died. An estimated 20,000 have been maimed. The U.S. plans to maintain massive bases there, occupied by 10,000 troops until at least 2024. Afghanistan's new government is far from the bright and democratic future the U.S. promised, but a wildly corrupt one run by warlords, passing laws as repressive as the Taliban. A staggering 90% of the world's opium now comes from Afghanistan, after being nearly eradicated pre-2001. Planning to never leave, officials can only hope that the public doesn't notice the war still churns on, pointlessly throwing more lives away. Now the country's longest war, costing taxpayers a shocking $2 billion a week, Afghanistan was just a stepping stone in the post-9/11 offensive. By late 2002, the empire was already beating the drums for a new war to protect American lives. Dubbed Operation Iraqi Freedom, it was the violent culmination of a policy of aggression spanning both Democratic and Republican administrations. Like with Afghanistan, the arrogant captains of empire thought their new military adventure would be easy. But there was massive, widespread opposition to the American occupation throughout Iraqi society. A common theme when countries are bombed, invaded, occupied, and subjugated by a foreign army. When a military disaster was clear in the face of a population that would not accept foreign occupation, the empire lied some more, dropped more bombs, and sent more to die. By the time the empire was forced to retreat from Iraq, 4,486 U.S. servicemen and women had died, and 31,951 left maimed. But for the Iraqi people, the toll was far, far worse. In a country of only 25 million, 1 million Iraqis were killed. 800,000 children left orphaned. 1 in 5 either killed, wounded, or displaced. And staggering cancer rates from the military's use of banned, radioactive, depleted uranium. And what of Iraq's bright democratic future delivered by the U.S. invasion? The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS. With the rise of ISIS clearly resulting from the U.S. war on Iraq, what has been the empire's response? As if the past 2 decades didn't happen at all, bombing and sending more troops. And already the return of bombs, mostly dropped by the United States, has already stripped the lives of countless innocent people. Air Wars, a team of journalists tracking coalition strikes on ISIS in Iraq and Syria, estimates upwards of 1,500 civilian deaths, despite the Pentagon admitting to only 2. Beyond Iraq, though, U.S. intervention in Libya and Syria gave ISIS the space to really gain strength. Invasions aside, the war on terror released flocks of flying executioners, with a Nobel Peace Prize-winning drone king overseeing a kill list and the bombing of 7 countries total, including Somalia, Yemen, and Pakistan. Death taunts children from the sky and thousands of people assassinated without due process. See, while the establishment incessantly fearmongers the American public about the growing threat of ISIS, while displaying their YouTube propaganda apparatus, U.S. Central Command has its own death porn channel, video logging their beheadings by drone. That its greed and arrogance can lead it to disaster.
De considerarse como extremistas islámicos. Nuevo giro diplomático respecto a Siria. El Consejo de Seguridad de la ONU aprueba esta semana una resolución en la que se plantea comenzar la negociación entre el gobierno local y la oposición en enero para cuajar una transición política durante el próximo medio año y unas elecciones antes de 18 meses.
Por el reciente encuentro entre Vladimir Putin y John Kerry, el presidente ruso afirmó que hay contacto. Moscú apoya la iniciativa de Estados Unidos para presentar una resolución en el Consejo de Seguridad de las Naciones Unidas sobre Siria. Sin embargo, reitera, la postura rusa sigue firme en favor de una democracia para resolver la crisis en la nación árabe.
Nunca estaremos de acuerdo con que alguien ajeno en cualquier sitio imponga quién gobierne. Es algo fuera del sentido común y también del derecho internacional. Por supuesto, lo hemos hablado con el secretario de Estado, Kerry. Nuestra postura no cambia, es una cuestión de principio. Creemos que solo el pueblo sirio debe definir quién tiene que dirigirle, según qué estándares y según qué reglas. Por eso ahora voy a decir algo importante. Apoyamos la iniciativa de Estados Unidos, incluida la de preparación de una resolución del Consejo de Seguridad de la ONU sobre Siria. Sobre los sirios han de decidir quién dirigirá al país.
El terrorismo se aprovecha de la difícil situación en el país, pero quien más se beneficia de los grupos terroristas es el Estado Islámico. Putin recordó en ese contexto que los terroristas que surgieron en la región son en realidad un problema secundario de una gestión de la política exterior errónea.
Creo que el Estado Islámico ya es un fenómeno secundario. Ahora voy a compartir mis impresiones. En su tiempo hubo una intervención en Irak y destruyeron el país. Si al final resultó ser bueno o malo, ahora eso no importa. Surgió un vacío. Luego aparecieron elementos relacionados con la venta de petróleo. La situación se ha ido forjando durante años. Se ha creado un negocio, se está realizando un contrabando de gran envergadura. Y para protegerlo se hizo necesaria una fuerza militar.
Sleep,